York State Department of Transportation, and today, Chair of PFAC. Before we begin, I want to point out the emergency exit should there be an emergency evacuation. There are 3 exits to this room. There's one directly behind you, one shortly to my left, and the 3rd exit is to my far left. Please listen to announcements and instructions if anyone needs personal assistance to evacuate. Please notify the staff of NYMTC. I'll ask the NYMTC staff to please raise their hands. Thank you. Now I'd like to begin the meeting with introductions of the members around the table. I'm asking each member to announce who they are, their agency, and whom they're representing today. Beginning with the far end of the table to my left, please speak clearly into the microphone.
Dan Moser, Federal Transit Administration, representing Region 2 Administrator Stephen Gould.
Gatamani, Federal Highway Administration, New York Division, representing Acting Division Administrator Michael Canavan.
Sean Sally, Nassau County Department of Public Works, representing Nassau County.
Chris Chatterton, Suffolk County, representing County Executive Steve Ballone.
Jack Schmidt, New York City Department of City Planning, representing City Planning Commission Chair and Director Marisa Lago.
Anne McGrain, New York City Department of Transportation, representing Commissioner Polly Trottenberg.
Jose Rivera, New York Metropolitan Transportation Council.
Naomi Klein, Westchester County, representing County Executive George Latimer.
Sandra Fusco, Putnam County, representing County Executive Mary Ellen Odell.
Pat Gurdon, Rockland County, representing County Exec Ed Day.
Lou Vanich, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, representing our Executive Director, Rick Cott.
David Barron, North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, representing NJTPA Executive Director, Mary Amin.
Thank you. By my count, and under the operating procedures, we have a quorum for today's meeting. Now I will ask NYMTC's Executive Director, Jose Rivera, to give an update.
Thank you, Ian. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's PFAC meeting. Every 4 years, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation must certify that each metropolitan planning organization serving a transportation management area is carrying out the metropolitan planning process in adherence with the federal statutes and regulations. The Federal Transit Administration, FTA, and the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, have been conducting NYMTC's federal certification review this week. Today's meeting is focused on the public's input on NYMTC's implementation of the federal transportation process. In other words, how are we doing? Survey forms have been placed on the chairs and at the signing table, giving you the opportunity to provide your written response directly to the federal representatives here today, or you may submit your comments online through the link that can be found on the survey form as well as on our website. Gautam Mani from the Federal Highway Administration and Daniel Moser from the Federal Transit Administration will give a presentation today, and afterwards give you the public the opportunity to provide input. So without further ado, Gautam and Dan.
Well, good afternoon, PFAC members, members of the public in attendance and online. I'm Gatamani from the Federal Highway Administration's New York Division, here to tell you about your opportunity as part of the federal certification review process that Jose just alluded to give your input on how well NYMTC's planning process is working for the region and suggestions for ways that it might be improved. So what is a certification review? And in other words, why are we here at NYMTC this week? At least once every 4 years, FHWA divisions and FTA regions must jointly review the transportation planning process of FPOs with urbanized areas with populations of 200,000 or more. Congratulations, this region meets that threshold. And what we're reviewing is compliance with the compliance of the planning process with federal requirements. So, briefly, what are the components of a certification review? We take a look at NYMTC's required planning products, their written policies and procedures, and any other planning products that they produce, and we do that ahead of time. We also do take note of our routine interactions with NYMTC. We had the on-site review, which has been taking place all this week, which many of you at the table and in the audience participated in. And finally, we deliver a final report to NYMTC with the federal findings that FTA and FHWA jointly agree on. So what are some types of findings that come out of a certification review? Corrective actions. These are items that the MPO must address in order to be compliant with federal regulations. Recommendations. These are ideas that the federal review team may have for ways that NYMTC can continue to improve upon the planning process in a way that goes beyond the federal requirements. And finally, commendations. These are noteworthy best practices, things that NYMTC is doing as part of its planning process that are above and beyond what's being done at other MPOs around the country and within the state of New York. We do like to recognize good work where it exists. So, what topics have we covered during this week in the certification review? There's actually a list of 27 possible topics that the federal review team can cover as part of certification review. From that list, we've reduced it to about 15 topics that we wanted to explore in further detail as part of the review process. So we looked at staffing and resources. How well is NYMTC currently equipped to deliver the federally required planning program for the region, and how well will it be equipped moving forward in terms of staff, in terms of technology, in terms of its planning capacity within the agency? Regional consultation and coordination. Earlier this week, we took a look at how well NYMTC consults with other state and local agencies as part of the planning process. How well does it coordinate with neighboring MPOs as part of initiatives such as the MAP Forum? Land use and transportation. We looked at how well NYMTC's transportation funding decisions are tied to local master plans and other land use plans, other development plans. And we also looked at to what extent land use and corridor studies that are funded through NYMTC, how those are fed back into the decision-making process. Transit activities. FTA and FHWA took a look at the Human Services Transportation Plan for the area and the selection process for certain FTA funding sources. Intelligent transportation systems. We looked at how well NYMTC is integrated with the regional ITS architecture and how well NYMTC's planning process reflects trends in operation of both roadway and transit elements. Integrating freight into the transportation planning process. We took a look at how NYMTC's regional freight plan is being used in decision making and how NYMTC's freight efforts are helping to inform a state freight plan and other freight efforts throughout the state. Transportation Improvement Program. We looked at how projects are selected for funding at NYMTC, how amendments are made to the Transportation Improvement Program, and how NYMTC monitors projects through obligation and completion. Resiliency planning. We looked at how NYMTC's planning process takes into account both weather-related weather-related events and security risks as well throughout the region. Performance-based planning and programming. How well is NYMTC doing with performance management as prescribed in federal regulations, including target setting? How are project decisions informed by performance measures, both the federally required ones and beyond? Unified Planning Work Program. How are planning funds used to carry out the planning process in the area, and how discretionary planning studies are fed back into the planning process? Safety planning. How are NYMTC's planning efforts helping to reduce fatalities and serious injuries on the whole transportation system? Planning and environmental linkages. We took a look at how NYMTC, through its planning efforts, is attempting to accelerate project delivery and deliver projects in a timely manner. And finally, this afternoon we will take a look at how NYMTC is actively working to include users of the transportation system from all backgrounds, and ensuring that they have meaningful input and good outcomes from the transportation planning process. So you'll note that NYMTC's Regional Transportation Plan, Plan 2045, is not on here, but throughout this review, we've taken a look at the ways that the LRTP helps shape these planning products and how the LRTP is shaped by NYMTC's other planning efforts. So where do you as the public come in? Well, we're looking for some feedback for you, and as Jose alluded to, there are public feedback forms available. But the specific type of feedback we're looking at is what ways does NYMTC currently plan well for the region, what can be improved, and how well does NYMTC include you and your interest in the transportation system in the process. So here are some of the ways you can give comments. The comment forms that you see in the room and that are made available on NYMTC's website. There's a SurveyMonkey link as well, so you can give comments electronically. You can send written comments to FHWA and or FTA if you don't want to fill out the forms. And right now at this meeting here. So comments will be accepted until October 31st, and they will be summarized in the final report that we deliver to NYMTC. The comments will be stripped of any identifying information such as an address and name. If we have to contextualize some of the comments, we will give a general location. And wanted to close by thanking those of you, if there's anyone in the audience who has already submitted comments or anyone listening through the webcast. So I will gladly take any questions from members and members of the public who are in attendance today.
Are there any questions for the speaker from any of the members? Are there any questions from the audience? Thank you, Gautam. We would normally set aside some time for public participation during our meetings, but at this point we have no registered speakers, so we're going to go on to the next portion of our meeting, which are the action items. We have a few action items today. The first action item is to accept the meeting synopsis. I am requesting all members to announce their name and agency, and the agency you represent when you make the motion or second a motion. The first action item is to accept the September 20th, 2018 meeting synopsis, which is available on the sign-in table. Do I have a motion to accept the September 20th, 2018 meeting synopsis?
Naomi Klein, Westchester County, so moved.
Naomi Klein moves the motion. Do I have a second?
Ann McGrain, New York City Department of Transportation, second.
New York City DOT seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. The next action item is to adopt resolution number 477, amendments to the state fiscal year 2018 to 2019 Unified Planning Work Program. Copies of all the resolutions for this meeting are available on the sign-in table. I will ask Setu Allen to introduce the resolution.
Good afternoon. So resolution number 477. Earlier this year, the members decided to add the Route 59 area transportation and land use study to the 2018-19 UPWP. NYMTC staff is currently undergoing contractual procedures, and due to higher than anticipated cost, we're requesting to add an additional $150,000 to this project due to the higher than anticipated cost. Funds will be drawn down from unprogrammed funds available in the current program year. NYMTC staff requests that you adopt this resolution.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 477, amendments to the state fiscal year 2018 to 2019 Unified Planning Work Program?
So moved, Jack Schmidt, New York City Planning.
New York City Planning moves a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Pat Gurdon, Rockland County.
Rockland County seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you. The next action item is resolution number 478, amendments to the federal fiscal year 2018 to 2045 Regional Transportation Plan, Plan 2045. I'll ask Leslie Forger to introduce the resolution.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to speak about Resolution 478. This resolution will, A, adjust Table 7.2 of Chapter 7 of the current Regional Transportation Plan, and B, will also see, and this mic's not on. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, so I'm here to talk about Resolution 478. It's going to adjust Table 7.2 of Chapter 7 on the current RTP, which is Plan 2045. And it'll also see the movement of two projects from the vision element to the constraint and the adjustment in the completion date. We need to do this to maintain fiscal constraint. So NYMTC staff recommends, or should I say, strongly recommends that we adopt the resolution. That is all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 478, amendments to federal fiscal years 2018 to 2045 Regional Transportation Plan, Plan 2045?
Motion, Chris Chatterton, Suffolk County.
Suffolk County moves the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Sean Sally, Nassau County.
Nassau County seconds the motion.
No, I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a different.
Second,
Yeah.
Putnam County.
Putnam County seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. The last action item is resolution number 479, supporting the statewide amended level of travel time, reliability targets. I will ask. Say that again.
Young-Hai Sang.
Young-Hai Sang to introduce the motion.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On September 20th, 2018, NYMTC adopted Resolution 472, agreeing to support the New York State performance targets for each of the 5 performance categories, including the travel time reliability measures, as known as the LOTTR. However, the LOTTR targets has been amended by New York State Department of Transportation in consultation with the MPOs and shown in attachment 1 in the back of the resolution. We are therefore asking you to adopt Resolution 479 to support the amendment of LOTTR targets, and will plan the projects that contributes to the achievement of the targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Young-Hai. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 479, supporting the statewide amended level of travel time reliability targets?
So moved, Jack Schmidt, New York City Planning.
New York City Planning moves the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Naomi Klein, Westchester County.
Westchester County seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. The next PFAC meeting is scheduled to be held on Thursday, November 15th, 2018, at this office here at NYMTC, located at 25 Beaver Street in Lower Manhattan. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? We are concluding our meeting. I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion, Chris Chatterton, Suffolk County.
Suffolk County moves the motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Ann McGrain, New York City Department of Transportation.
New York City seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you.